Today I'm staging another massive battle of panel technology. In the red corner we've got the blinding brightness of TCL's brand new SQD Mini-LED tech, and in the pink corner we've got the pixel perfect precision of LG's legendary OLED tech. So this is the TCL C8L versus LG's C6 OLED. But before we even look at a single pixel, there is one major difference that could have you considering the upstart TCL TV over the more well-established LG OLED. So historically, Mini-LED was kind of seen as the budget alternative to OLEDs. But this year, TCL with their C8L have gone full premium, but it costs substantially less than the LG. In fact, the price gap is so massive that if you did decide to buy the C8L over the C6, you would have enough cash left over to splash on a holiday in the sun. So do me a favor, watch this breakdown, look at the hardware, and at the end of the video, tell me if you think the OLED is truly worth the extra premium, or if you think TCL's SQD Mini-LED TV tech is now the ultimate TV for your unique living room. So let's kick this off by looking at the physical hardware differences. So when you look at the LG C6, it's exactly what you'd expect from a flagship OLED. It is mind-blowingly thin at its thinnest point and just 4.5 centimeters at its thickest. It's elegant, it's premium, which is a gift and a curse because you do have to be quite delicate with it while setting it up. And if you are planning to wall mount this 65-inch model, you should probably know that this weighs in at 16.6 kg without the stand, which is nice. The TCL C8L, on the other hand, is a bit more robust. It's 5.5 centimeters at its thickest point, and this 65-inch panel here tips the scales at 21.1 kg. Although, interestingly, the 55-inch model of this same TV weighs almost 1 kilogram less than the equivalently sized LG. But there's a very good reason for that bulk. The TCL C8L houses a highly sophisticated backlight system with thousands of precise dimming zones. And what's most impressive about the C8L's design is the zero border look that it has. I really love this about their previous models, and you could make the case that this will help keep you completely immersed when viewing it. So when you look at these two TVs, the biggest difference that you'll notice between them is that the TCL has a slightly more prominent stand, and instantly you'll notice the premium looking brushed metal that wraps right around the TV's frame. And also they've added these nice little metal accent blades across the top, which helps to divide the added depth. Both TVs have very subtle branding, and actually both look pretty nice from the back. And this year TCL have actually made some marked improvements when it comes to their cable management. And a nice little touch with the TCL is that it does offer you the option to mount the stand a little bit higher if you want to make space for a soundbar. And just before we continue with the TV designs, I do want to mention the remote. So LG have been rolling with this magic remote design for many years now, and it's tried and tested, and it's a decent remote. But TCL actually provide two remotes, and they've actually been fine-tuning the design on these. They've made them thinner. This new silver one has voice controls. It's also backlit, and it definitely feels very premium. And check this out, down the side is a brightness rocker. And this is very important, and you'll understand why when we get to the picture quality section of this video. Anyway, back to the TV design. So the connectivity battle is closer than ever now, because in the past, TCL may have saved a little bit of cash when it came to the ports that they were using, but not anymore, because both the LG C6 and the TCL C8L come equipped with 4 full bandwidth HDMI 2.1 ports. And what this means is that both TVs can support 120 Hz gaming on all of the ports, so you get maximum refresh rates. However, if you are a hardcore PC gamer, the TCL panel can push all the way up to a staggering 288 Hz with VRR at HD resolution, which will give a slight edge to you PC gamers out there. The thicker frame on the TCL C8L also hides another bonus, a premium sound system co-engineered with the audio icons Bang Olufsen. And this comes complete with their Biosonic tuning interface. It boasts 4 independent sound chips, high-end grade acoustics, and a separate Sky channel for those overhead audio experiences. Now, when you compare that to LG's 2.2 channel system with 40 watts of power, on paper, that is an advantage for the TCL, but I will let you guys be the judge of that before I give you my own personal opinions. first heard these two TVs side by side, I jotted down a bunch of notes and here's what I wrote down. So obviously when you compare any TV to a soundbar, which is what I usually use, TVs don't normally sound that great. But actually the LG's built-in speakers have come a long way now and they have surprisingly good depth and clarity, which is very surprising given how thin this TV is. Although, with that said, the TCL with its Bang Olufsen speaker setup clearly offers a wider soundstage. It also gets a lot louder and voices seem a lot clearer without ever having to adjust the sound settings. And low frequencies, for example bass in music tracks and rumbles during explosions, are also noticeably deeper on the TCL. Now don't get me wrong, the LG does sound really impressive, but that added depth in the frame on the TCL does give it a pretty big advantage when it comes to audio depth. And do let me know if you could hear that in the sound test segment of this video. Okay, now the main event, the picture quality. This is a classic battle of raw power versus infinite contrast. The TCL C8L features their new SQD, or otherwise known as Super Quantum Dot Mini-LED technology. In this 65-inch model, you're looking at over 2,000 precise local dimming zones. But the headline figure is its peak brightness at a blinding 5,000 nits and up to 6,000 nits if you go for the 85-inch or 98-inch TV, which is basically the size of my entire wall over here. Now, when you compare that to the 1500 nits peak brightness on the LG C6, the TCL can get nearly 3 times brighter when displaying a full screen image. Something else very impressive about the TCL is that it covers 100% of the BT 2020 color space, which makes HDR colors incredibly punchy and vivid. And both sets do support Dolby Vision, HDR10, HLG formats, but the TCL does also support HDR10+, whereas the LG does not. And it's worth noting, TCL do have another little trick up their sleeves when it comes to HDR performance, as in the near future and possibly even now, depending on when you're watching this video, they are going to be rolling out an over-the-air update that enables Dolby Vision 2 on this TCL TV. And at this point in time, for the LG TV, is unconfirmed. And the C8L also has TCL's all-domain halo control technology that's designed to deliver deeper blacks and higher brightness than their previous models. So once again, when I got these out of the box, set them up for the first time, played the same video content on both TVs in their default settings, I wrote down some notes and here's what I wrote. So honestly, I'm quite shocked at how good the black levels are now on this mini LED TV. In scenes where there's just a single light source, the difference in black levels side by side is almost identical. It's only in scenes where there's multiple light sources all close together is where you'll notice the OLED tech shows its black level advantages. But on the flip side, the TCL SQD Mini-LED tech is the lord of the light, because the white highlights on the TCL are much brighter. And I was playing one of the England football matches from the World Cup and you could notice the England white shirts were really popping off the screen. Also, I did notice straight out of the box the TCL colors are noticeably more punchy and vibrant thanks to its very wide color gamut supported here. Skin tones do look much more natural straight out of the box with its default settings. But of course, if you spend some time calibrating the C6 colors, you could definitely get it close to what the TCL delivers. But to keep it fair, I was using these on the standard color profiles. But one thing's for sure, the C6 won't even get close to the brightness of the TCL C8L. And in fact, the TCL gets so bright that on some occasions, you might want to turn it down, and that's probably why they've added the brightness rocker on the side of their new remote. Okay, now let's jump over to the C6 OLED. While it can't match the raw power and brightness of the TCL, even with its brightness booster feature on, but frankly, it really doesn't need to. And that's due to the nature of its self-emissive OLED pixels that can completely turn off when not needed. This means you get infinite blacks next to bright highlights with absolutely zero blooming or halo effects around those bright areas, for example around subtitles. And if you are a gamer, the LG C6 does offer a world's first in the form of 4K 120Hz HDR cloud gaming via NVIDIA GeForce Now. And it's also the first TV to support Bluetooth ultra low latency controllers. So if you are a couch gamer, you don't even need a console anymore to play proper quality games. So there is no doubt that the C6 is an absolute beast when it comes to contrast, to control, and especially when in a dark room. Now, this wouldn't be a consumer tech video in 2026 without mentioning AI. Both sets boast their own AI chips. TCL has the TSR AIPQ processor, which integrates proprietary image tuning algorithms with the firm's own AI model to deliver pixel level optimization for visuals. And of course, LG aren't one to be outdone in this area. The C6 comes with LG's Alpha A11 AI processor 4K Gen 3 with dual AI engine. And I know these names are getting very long. And when watching the same content side by side, it's really hard to tell the differences in the AI processing that's happening there. Where it really comes into play is when you're watching lower res content, for example, HD football or old movies. So when playing this kind of content, you can really test the ability of these processors when it comes to upscaling to 4K. And honestly, it's an extremely close contest. You literally have to get a magnifying glass out to figure out which one was doing a better job here. Now, this is not the only area where the AI processing comes into play. Of course, it does play a part in the user interface. So of course, the TCL C8L runs on the Google TV platform, offering a mega app ecosystem. There's support for Google Cast, AirPlay 2, Chromecast, and Chromecast 2, making it very easy to wirelessly beam content from your phone or laptop to this display. But this year, TCL have a pretty significant advantage over the user interface on the LG. We will come back to that. So LG stick with their proprietary WebOS 26 platform. It's highly customizable with quick access cards, but it definitely feels a bit more cluttered with sponsored content. You can of course go in and switch it off, but it's a bit of an inconvenience. However, one advantage LG have is of course this handheld weapon, the AI Magic Remote. It acts like a wireless pointer on the screen. It makes typing passwords and navigating menus an absolute breeze once you get the hang of it. The AI part of the name means you can converse with the TV's AI chatbot and use your voice to search for content. And it's a nice, snappy platform, and you pretty much got access to all of the apps that you'd ever want. But here is that huge advantage for the TCL. This year, the Google TV platform has introduced Gemini to these TVs. Now, this goes without saying. It is incredibly smart. It can help you get where you want in an instant. It also has a pretty big advantage as it's much more knowledgeable, being that Google's Gemini platform is literally one of the biggest on the planet right now. And on top of being able to search for content that you want to watch or apps you want to download or music you want to listen to, you can actually have a full-on conversation with it, and it sounds far more human than the AI chatbot on the LG, and you can even choose the voice that you like. And on top of that, it can create images, help you navigate the UI, and generally speaking, it's probably the best TV AI that I've seen so far. Okay, now let's talk numbers, because this is where this video gets interesting. Remember the holiday that I mentioned at the start of this video? Choosing the 65-inch TCL C8L over the 65-inch LG C6 saves you roughly £700. That's enough to book yourself a trip to Ibiza. Or if you prefer, you could use that extra cash to pick yourself up an upgraded sound system. For example, the TCL Q75HK Dolby Atmos DTSX soundbar with sub combo, and still walk away with £350 still in your pocket. So what's it gonna be? Are you gonna stay home with the pixel perfect precision of OLED, or are you buying the TCL SQD Mini-LED powerhouse and then heading straight to the beach? And if you are leaning towards the TCL, this is the best time to pick one up, because as they become more popular here in this market, the prices will likely increase. Right now is the best time. And if you do want to check out the latest deals and prices, there will be links below this video, and I will do my best to get a discount for you if I can. You'll find that in the description box. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this video and got some value out of it. If you did, a little thumbs up would be appreciated. If you just subscribed, you're now one of the finest subscribers known to man. And I will see you guys in the next one. Don't be late.